For over a decade now, about 15 years, I've been sounding the alarm about economic warfare. At first, no one knew what it meant, not even in our own Pentagon. That was true in 2008. Most people don't remember that so much. They barely remember 9/11, 2001. But insiders get it now. In fact, Strategist Magazine, in their year-end issue, looked back on 2022 and called it a year of economic warfare. Here's the point. We're facing an unprecedented period in which the economy, really money, is being used as a means of warfare. That's true at the global and national level, but it's also true at the personal level. Now, in the Economic War Room, we're crafting strategies to help you address the threats we're facing. But now we need your help. We have a strategy to provide a means of protecting your wealth. We're not selling it to you. We're not selling anything, really. But we found a provision in the Constitution that would allow Americans to protect wealth, to hold it in the form of historical money, and to use it as simply as using a debit card. It'd be protected from inflation, economic collapse, and unfair taxation. It would have privacy benefits. Best of all, it would operate seamlessly in a modern economy. The good news, the founders understood the dangers of paper money and out-of-control spending. They knew history, they warned against inflation, and they had the inspiration to leave a small provision in the American Constitution with a big benefit. Now, there was a debate. Congress was given the power to coin money, Article 1, Section 8, also to regulate the value of foreign money. They said states can't print their own money. It'd be too confusing. But Article 1, Section 10 said that while no state shall coin money, it also said they can't make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. The key word is tender. It's the same word found on our money. You know, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. What is tender? Well, Investopedia gives us an answer. Quoting, legal tender is anything recognized by law as a means to settle a public or private debt or meet a financial obligation, including tax payments, contracts, and legal fines or damages. The national currency is always legal tender. So according to the Constitution, a state could make gold and silver coins tender, a means to transact currency. That's the founders' wisdom. Gold and silver are historical money. Gold and silver are universal. They're the same in Georgia or Maine or Alaska or China or Australia or Brazil. It's all measured by weight. It was used pre-war. The Bank of Kentucky, for example, would take deposits of gold and silver, issue certificates based on Article 1, Section 10, and that was state-based tendered, not regulated by the Congress. And it was not taxable as a collectible. Even though gold and silver, if you buy it yourself and hold it yourself, that's taxable as a collectible. Every time you do a transaction, there's a capital gain or loss you're supposed to report. Foreign tender, yeah, that's taxable. Yes, it's monitored. And yes, the U.S. can regulate it. But the certificates used in Kentucky and other states, they weren't. They were tender. And it solved the divisibility problem. You could deposit an ounce of gold and get a certificate for 1/10 an ounce, and so forth. Now, this was abandoned because the federal government became more reliable and federal money was backed by gold, and so all this was abandoned with the Civil War. And in the 1930s, FDR confiscated all the privately held gold and put it in Fort Knox. And as recently as the 1970s, we used to have a gold backing for our currency, but Nixon abandoned that. But what if you took modern technology? You know, everything's electronic. Bitcoin, CBDC, your debit card. And we use that same concept as the Bank of Kentucky with that modern electronic twist. What if you could have a debit card using gold? You know, that's being done right now. There's a company called Glent. That's one example, but also Gulver and Vericash. It solves a big problem. It makes gold convenient, but it creates two new problems. The first is it's stored in Switzerland, and that means international banking laws and U.S. oversight and regulation. And the second problem is every time you use your Glent card, it's reportable to the IRS and taxable. So every transaction can be monitored, and it's still subject to confiscation. So Glent is a great idea to modernize gold, but it doesn't solve the other problem. But Article 1, Section 10, the Bank of Kentucky idea, you put those two together and you have what we call transactional gold, a debit card with full electronic features like Apple Pay or Samsung Pay, issued by a state.